So this afternoon we're in sunny Aylesbury, Buckinghamshire, and we're about to remap this caddy van. Well, kind of. I will explain that in a moment. And if he's a good boy, I will also replace his broken door mirror. Right, I said we were going to be remapping this van. That's not exactly accurate. What we're actually going to do is return it to original. This is one remapped, oh god, very long time ago, 2 or 3 years ago. But the procedure is quite similar, and I'll just add in the bits that we would do if we were doing a remap on it. So, first of all, we get a diagnostic machine, and we carry out a code scan. Now, I just don't just code scan the engine, you should check the whole vehicle over here, why not? Obviously, loads of different machines. I like using this VCDS, or some people would call it VAGCOM, because this is a Volkswagen. This is very good for data logging. By that I mean recording the information that I want to record while I'm road testing it before and after. Tuning work, make sure everything is doing as it should be. This isn't some fake eBay jobby. Can't see why anyone would buy them. You keep buying them, there'll be no money going to the real company to actually, for these people to rip off and make you cheap fake ones. So why not buy a real one? The real one, this is, I can't remember which version this is. This might be the HexNet. It's only about 500 quid. And it's invaluable to any workshop. And for those people who like to do all their DIY bits and stuff, buy it between a group of you and your friends. Great tool, great support from the company if ever you need help. They are in America, so bear in mind, you know, if you send them a message, you usually have to wait till the next day for an answer. But they are very, very helpful, and their technical resources and forums are brilliant as well. Okay, so I'll let this do a little scan through, make sure everything's alright before we carry on. Okay, so we've done our scan, and we have found 18 modules, and that's why I scanned the full system. We have found 2 modules, nothing to do with the drivetrain, but 2 modules do have faults in them, so let's go down and see what they may well be. So, firstly, we have got the navigation system. There is a saved code for antenna for the radio, short to ground. Now, I can obviously let the customer know about that and see what he wants to do. And the other, as we suspected, is the driver's side door mirror. An electrical fault in the circuit. That's because half the mirrors somewhere in either Hertfordshire or Buckinghamshire. So nothing for us to worry about at this point, but we will let the customer know. Right, so that's that bit done. Next, we move on to what we call data logging. So this is where we record vital information that we want to know about. So we want to get our measuring values up, set ourselves a list of what we want to measure, and then go for a spin. Another reason I like using the VCDS is all this can be exported onto an Excel format, and I can go through stuff later in a very easy to read fashion, compare it with once it's modified. Okay, so we've been for our spin and recorded or data logged our information, none of which is true, by the way. As I said, I'm not actually tuning this vehicle, I'm putting it back to original, but for demonstration purposes this is what we would do if we were tuning the vehicle. I'll explain to you why we put it back to original in a minute. Anyway, so we're back, customer's driveway, have power lead from the inverter in my van going up to battery support unit, which is very important to keep a stable voltage supply when programming an ECU or any modules on a car. Right, we'll hop in and show you what's next. Okay, now we're back in the van. It's a mess. He needs to hoover it up, but there's crap everywhere. He normally looks after his vehicles. Anyway, it's a mess. We're back in the van, and we have this time a different machine and different laptop hooked up. Today I'm using the auto tuner. I've got several machines that'll read these vehicles. I particularly like this one, so I'm using it. It was, it's close to hand, it was quick. So what we do is, first of all, I don't know why I've highlighted that somehow. I've already identified the ECU to confirm I have selected the right ECU. I have. This need ECU17C46. And what we would then do, I don't have to do this because, like I say, we're not actually modifying. Well, we're not tuning. We're returning to original. We go ahead and we read the ECU. This is what's called a virtual read. These are protected ECUs. So this will read a software file from their database rather than read the actual ECU in the vehicle. We can read the ECU in the vehicle, but it involves taking it out. We do give customers the choice. It costs a lot more for us to take it out and working it on the bench. So most people go for the virtual read option. We'll click save on that. It'll download the file now and whatnot. Now what we're doing on this is we are returning it to original. Reason being was a couple of years ago I had a nice strong tune from Quantum Tuning. I think it was 2.5, 3 years ago, something like that. Anyway, last week a customer contacted me, clutch was slipping, nothing to do with the tune, it's just, a good few years of use. Threw a new clutch and flywheel in, because once you've got the clutch out, you check the flywheel, you're always going to find a little bit of play. So threw a new clutch and flywheel in, not cheap components, an LUK clutch and a Valeo dual mass flywheel. There we go, that's red. Ignition back off. Valeo dual mass flywheel. The flywheel alone was over £400. However, since the moment road tested it, had a vibration, what felt to me like a flywheel vibration. I was then away for a week, or for the rest of the week. So I said to the customer, keep driving it and we'll sort it out when I get back. So now I'm back. I am doing this as a bit of an experiment, really, because this is a very expensive Valeo flywheel. It looked quite different to the original, which I wasn't overly happy about, but it did look very sturdy. So I contacted the supplier. They said, no, this is the right one for the vehicle. 140 horsepower, Volkswagen Caddy, 2-litre TDI. The factory original flywheel, designed for this 140 horsepower Caddy, now running 190 horsepower, had no issues whatsoever. This thing didn't like it from the second I drove the vehicle. So I am experimenting to see if these aftermarket flywheels, that are supposed to be very good and very expensive, cannot handle the additional torque loading. So that's all we're doing this, is just put it back to original and see if it gets rid of the flywheel judder. And it would confirm to me the best route would be either get a genuine flywheel, because they can handle it, or to put a factory Volkswagen flywheel in there. Okay, so back to what we're actually doing. That's the background of the car, of the van. So now I've read this ECU. Now generally, to put it back to standard, the next stage would be to get a pass-through device out, or my Otis out, go online to Volkswagen and download an original file, which obviously cost me money, which then cost the customer money. But seeing as we did this a couple of years ago, I still have, as we always do, kept the original ECU information, ECU file, so we're just going to write that back in. Firstly, before I show you the writing the file in scenario, etc., people often ask what tuning is all about, what a remapping file is all about. Now, there's loads of software out there to dress it up differently and to make it easier to navigate your way around it. But basically, this is a file that comes out of an ECU. Just lots of binary coding. So this is the original, this is the modified. We can go through, there's lots of fine differences. You can use applications to see what the differences are. Yeah, but that's all it is. It's modifying binary coding to change outputs. That's all it is. The equipment and software for modifying the files to make it user-friendly fashion. Because, for example, you could get two of these 2-litre Volkswagen Caddies next to each other, exact same engine, exact same ECU, slightly different software numbers. They have a different layout of how the files work, what the coding does. And people have to invest in what's called map packs. And basically, it's a map or a key to find your way around what areas do what. It's a very expensive business to be in, believe me. But anyway, I thought maybe someone might be interested in that bit of boringness there. Right, I'm going to close this, reopen this. So now we're going to write the ECU. It says tune file. It's not going to be the tune file, it's going to be the original read we took quite some time ago. Let's go to our desktop. See if we can remember the registration. Come on now. You sure you want to write this in? Well, help if I turn the ignition on. Yes, it's written in. And remember, I have this vehicle connected to a battery support unit because the last thing, the very last thing you want to do is write this for the battery to go flat halfway through, and you just end up with a very, very expensive paperweight. There we go. That's rewriting that. Afterwards, we shall do some more data logging. Sorry, I had to turn off for a second there as there's some exciting times on Facebook. Right, so as you can see, it's writing, and what it does while it's writing, and this is why it's dangerous if you don't have battery support connected. Firstly, it can't write onto something that's not blank, so it has to erase sections of the ECU, then flash them, and then erasing, and then flashing, and erasing, and flashing. Love this tool, honestly. It's probably the best, anyone in tuning, it's probably the best £5 you could spend for newer vehicles only. The best tools available to anyone considering this. Depends on the line of vehicles you're doing, but I would say is the CarTech MPPS and this Auto Tuner. Fantastic tools. CarTech better so for older Volkswagen, BMW type stuff, Mercedes, well, lots of older stuff, but they're very strong on those brands. And this Auto Tuner for pretty much just about everything new. Obviously we have a full range of Alien Tech equipment as well. Find we're using it less and less. Also have a FlashTech CMD. Very useful tool. Just we don't really use it that much anymore. There's just no call for it. It's a great tool, I just don't know why. I probably haven't taken it out of my toolbox for 6 months. Anyway, this guy is flashing away. Quickly, while it's doing that, is it worth? People have said to me, or people say there's loads of, there is literally loads. You go online, there's loads of people going around doing remapping. Everyone does it their own way. Some guys will turn up with a fake tool that costs them £100 off of eBay. Don't even do any diagnostics, or maybe we'll plug in some crappy fake generic code reader, read a code, flash a file on that they don't understand or know anything about, take your money and do one. That's not the way to do it. I mean, this is a basic common car, and currently, as you've just seen, for this one vehicle I've used this, which is £5,000, a fairly reasonable laptop which is about a year old, that was £400. The other laptop is quite old, it's a Toughbook. They're brilliant. You really got to look after them though, because they're so expensive when they're new. You want it to last as long as you can. I've had that one a few years. That was a good few £100 when it was new. And a VCDS, which is about £500. So maybe £6 worth of equipment besides all the subscriptions and other costs involved. Then the battery stabiliser, good quality battery support unit, sorry. That was a mid-range one that I keep in the van. I've got a different one in the workshop. That's about £500. A good quality inverter in the van. Oh, that's somewhere in the region of £600 or £700. And then the tuning file themselves. Obviously, I'm returning this to original. It cost me nothing. The original tuning file for this vehicle was a quantum tuning file. I have to pay for that. It is an expensive game to be in. If people are doing it suspiciously cheap, then be suspect. At the end of the day, you've got to cover all these costs and make a living. Now, there's a difference between, anyone can go out there, go online, buy some crap, and start doing tuning. And it happens all the time. People who know nothing about cars. I'm a professional motor mechanic. Well, I am officially known as a diagnostic technician. And all I do all day long is work on vehicle systems. I try and get a good grasp of what's going on with them. and I don't do anything to a vehicle that I don't understand. Even though I don't write this tuning file, I use different companies. I use companies, as I said, such as Quantum and many others, to be fair, because I use master tools, which means I'm not locked to anybody. It's not a big profit game. It can be. Keep lots of happy customers and work as hard as you can, but you're constantly investing. And in all honesty, when you're driving around in a van and constantly lugging things in and out of, everything just adds up. Right, so that is done. So we ignition off. We fire her straight up into life. Right, she's up and running. So next what I got to do is get the other laptop again with the VCDS, then go out and do some more data logging just to make sure everything's good, and then look for this vibration. Okay, so we're back in the van. Been out in the, for the purpose of the video, we've been out in the caddy and done a second data logging session, and all is well. When in reality we didn't do any data logging because I literally just returned this to original. I know it's all good. But what I did do was confirm that the £404 high quality Valio flywheel cannot handle the extra torque. So I'm going to have to replace that at my own cost, but I look after my customers, it's not his fault. Unfortunately, it's not my fault, but it's one of those things. So I shall be replacing it with, I'll give the customer an option of a solid or a genuine Volkswagen item. But quickly I thought I'd just run through the equipment used, just so you guys are aware of sort of what goes on. So, don't remember we had the auto tuner. This is one for reading out and writing back in of the ECUs. This does not tune a vehicle. This reads information, writes information. A person tunes a vehicle. Obviously, a laptop. Good. I say good quality. Laptops out of date so quickly. It's probably a load of rubbish now, but that was £400 or £500 when it was new. VCDS. I said it was HexNet, but I was wrong. I think it's a Hex USB and CAN one. So it's again, that's old hat now. So maybe it's time for me to update. And a Tough brilliant machine. Also a battery support unit. Now, the reason I used this was because it was a Volkswagen Audi, see it, stuff like that. I'd use that if I was doing something else from Germany, Merc, BMW, I would use this. It's so dark in here, I'm sorry. This is an auto tuner, excellent bit of kit. If I was doing something French, I would probably use my Snap-on, and that is like £8.5 grand, whereas that is only 3 and a bit. Ford, Vauxhall, many of them too, same as most of the Japanese stuff. They're both much of a muchness, really. And that's about it, I think. No, I'm sure I may get some comments about, oh, it's not proper tuning and remapping, you don't have a dyno, it's not live tuned, blah blah blah. You can find me one modern European car that you can live tune. I will give you £10,000 in cash. Mainstream, I'm talking about car. And when it comes to stage 1, stage 2, and even stage 3 tuning on common vehicles, there is no need for a dyno. Or even if you're very good at tuning, there's no need for a dyno with any. It's just another tool. But I'm sure I'll get some comments about it, and most of that, in all honesty, is started by tuners with dynos. We're the only ones who can live tune. Well, if you look at their original dyno reading, car on stock power, and their second dyno reading car tuned is generally about 10 minutes later. So they can dyno, then read, then write a fully custom, then rewrite, and then re-dyno a vehicle in 14, 15 minutes. Yeah, of course they can. No, we all use known good information and templates to modify vehicles, unless it's a completely custom job. But it's funny, those same tuners who give it all that will happily sell their files or have slave tuners who don't have a dyno. Interesting stuff. In all honesty, most of us in this game get along really well. Like owners have forums, we have our own trade forums, and everyone helps each other out generally. It's a nice little community to be in. Anyway, I shall maybe down the road make some better videos about tuning and videos about the difference between a dyno and not having a dyno.